Hi everyone and welcome back. Well, on Tuesday this week, Australia got another federal budget, and again, what does the media do? They call it responsible, they call it measured, they call it historic. But here's the problem. You can't call something responsible when the entire structure of the system itself is drowning in debt. See, Australia has officially crossed $1 trillion in gross national debt, and somehow we're supposed to celebrate a few $1 billion in savings like it's some heroic economic achievement. This is not a fiscal strategy. This is theatre. Now, before everyone loses their minds, this is not about Liberal. This is not about Labor, and it's not about which politician you emotionally want to attach yourself to, because the truth is both sides are trapped, and they're trapped inside the same broken financial system. And every few years, they just wheel out another budget, another glossy document, whatever you want to call it, another collection of promises, while the underlying structure just gets weaker and weaker. And that's what people don't seem to want to understand. We are not watching a government that's carefully managing a healthy system. We are watching a bunch of managers trying to hold together something that has already broken or that's already cracking. Australia's debt is exploding, and it's not exploding slowly, and it's not maybe, it is right now. And by 2029, the Treasury projections have it moving towards $1.24 trillion. Now think about that carefully. 1.24 trillion. And nobody even really seems to react to that number anymore, because I believe that people are being desensitized. Well, $1 million used to sound like a lot of money once, then it became billions, and now politicians throw around the word trillions like it's just another Tuesday afternoon. But let me tell you, debt matters, because debt creates pressure, and pressure always flows downhill. And where is downhill? It's on to you. Higher taxes, less purchasing power, more inflation, more desperation, less freedom. Now watch how this works. The government announces cost of living relief, tiny deductions, tiny rebates, tiny sweeteners, and the media runs around calling this compassionate. Meanwhile, the actual cost of living itself just continues to rise anyway. Food, power, insurance, rent, the cost of trades, the cost of petrol, fuel, basically everything. And let me tell you, people feel it. That's why everyone's a little bit tense. That's why small business owners are stressed. That's why families are running credit cards much harder than they have ever in the past, because reality doesn't care about press conferences. And then comes the next part. And this is where it starts to get a lot more dangerous, because instead of addressing the structural problem, which is very clear, they start hunting revenue instead. Small business, family structures, asset protection, trusts, investments, anything that they can squeeze. And look, people can argue semantics as much as they want. They can do that all day long, but the direction is still very clear. Governments around the world are becoming much more aggressive toward independent wealth structures. And now why is that? Because debt creates desperation. And desperate systems eventually start looking for exits. That's when governments become less interested in freedom and more interested in control. Now, Here's the real uncomfortable part. Most people still believe that the system itself is somehow stable. They think, well, we're just one good policy away from fixing everything. But what if the real problem is a lot bigger than that? What if this debt itself is the actual trap? Because once a nation becomes completely dependent on debt expansion, you can't easily reverse it. If you cut spending hard, well, the economy slows. If you print money, if you print more monopoly money harder, well, inflation rises. If you raise taxes, people suffocate. So what do governments do? What they do is they manage perception. They kick the can down the road. They stretch the timeline, and they hope that nobody looks for or looks too closely underneath. This is why more people are starting to look outside the traditional financial system entirely. And it always comes back to Bitcoin, to self-custody, to hard assets, to alternative income, to reduced debt, smaller lifestyles, more independence. See, if you're looking for a safe and legitimate way to purchase digital assets, and I get this question a lot outside of, say, traditional exchanges, you need to check out Stormrake. Great friends of mine, they'll look after you. I've got a link in the description below. Make sure you check that out. And the reality is that people are looking at alternatives very seriously, not because everyone's crazy, but because people are starting to feel something is wrong. It's becoming so obvious now, even if they can't fully explain it yet. And honestly, I think that deep down, a lot of Australians already know. You can feel it in the stress levels. You can feel it in day-to-day conversations. You can feel it when people look successful online, but privately, they might not be that so successful. They might feel trapped. See, the point of this video isn't fear, it's clarity. Stop obsessing over political teams, whether it be Liberal, Labor, One Nation or anything else. Stop cheering tiny handouts while the larger structure burns around you, and start asking the harder questions. Because eventually, mathematics will always win. Not politics, not slogans, not spin. And when that moment arrives, well, the people who prepared early and got ahead will have options. The people who didn't, what are they going to be left with? See, Australia doesn't need more performances. It needs honesty. And right now, honesty is unfortunately in very short supply. Now, if you found this video useful, make sure that you hit the like, the subscribe, share this with someone who you think might benefit from it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.